Hello everyone and welcome back to the fourth session of So You Want to Write a Novel. This week is our fourth and our final week, and thank you so much for your continued presence, for sending me your questions. It has been such a kind of a rewarding and lovely time for me. So this week we're going to focus on writer's block, editing, getting published, and any other business. And we will start with writer's block. Now, writer's block is a fancy term for a selection of ailments. In my opinion, writer's block is often, it's writer's tiredness or it's writer's emptiness. Like often people will find after they've written a great big lump of good stuff, you know, that they were in the zone and it was coming out and everything was great. And then they're knackered and they're empty. And like it makes perfect sense. Like if you had run a race, you wouldn't be able to just keep on running indefinitely, or you wouldn't be able to get up and run 10 more. And especially if a person has written an important chapter or has finished a book. Like whenever I finish a book, I feel like I'll never be able to write another one, you know, that I'm all used up and that's the end of it for me. And I think in those times you have to give yourself a recovery period. Wait it out. Don't even think about it. Read stuff. Go and live your life, you know, spend time with your friends. Be rather than be doing, do you know? And sooner or later it'll come back. Now, another thing that I have found is like, there are often times that I can't go forward. You know, there's something stopping me with the plot or with the characters. There's just something. I don't believe in what's going on. And instead of trying to keep pushing through, I have to go back instead, because it means that something is wrong in whatever I've created already. Either the characters aren't right or the plot doesn't convince her. There's something that needs to be worked on. And like, it isn't always obvious, but you know, I'll have to go back to the start and kind of work my way through. And like, it could be lots of little things. Or alternatively, instead of going back, I need to go down. You know, I need to get deeper into the characters, because until they're, you know, more fully realized and more believable, they're not going to be able to push the plot forward. And then there have been 2 times in my life when I literally haven't been able to write a thing. And I think this is important. The first time was about 10 years ago when I was really, really unwell, like in the head, like really, really, really not well. And I was so distressed that I couldn't even read. And that I couldn't even read magazines. Do you know, like I'd have forgotten the end of a sentence. The start of a sentence by the time I read the end. Like I was really not optimal, put it that way. And it just meant that I had to realise that like nothing was going to happen. I wasn't going to be writing anything. And like I was under contract and I was shit scared and also nihilistic, like both, you know, like flip-flopping between, you know, I'm going to be sued and I'm going to lose everything. And then I think, sure, look at, I'm off to fling myself off the end of the pier anyway, so none of it matters. And in that time, I just had to accept my limitations. And then the other time was just over 2 years ago after my dad died. And that was different. Like on the surface, I knew I was bereaved and life is very, very weird. Very, very strange in the aftermath of the death of a parent. And it felt like I had been, you know, when you were a kid and you fancied somebody and you'd give them a dead arm, you know, you'd give them a punch to the shoulder and then they wouldn't be able to do anything with their hand for like the rest of the day. It was like that had been done to my brain. It was like nothing, I couldn't think logically. Like there was just nothing happening. Like it wasn't when I had been very, very, very unwell. It was just nothing was going on. And I mean, again, you know, we have to factor these things in. We're human beings. You know, we're organic creatures, and we're impacted by our lives. And in that, it was the weirdest thing. I had to wait it out. And like, again, I was under contract. Like, the second book was meant to have been delivered by the 31st of January 2018. My dad died on the 16th of December. So like, and that was it. And they had to move the publication date and everything. And it wasn't until the summer, like I kept coming, I couldn't finish it. I was really close to finishing, but I had no idea. There was a blankness. And then in the summer, I was away and I was in France. And suddenly it was like coming up from the bottom of the sea. Do you know when you're on a plane and your ears pop? It was like that. And suddenly I could think again. So writer's block comes in many forms. And mostly, I would say, wait it out, rest, go off and live your life. But if you really feel, if you suspect that the fault could be in what you've already written, go back and excavate, and hopefully it'll be that. And if it's those other things, mind yourself. You're more important than the book. So, all right, now we're going to come to the business side of things, getting published. And I will tell you what I know, but there is something I don't know. I don't know how to self-publish, but people have given me some bits of information, so I'll tell you. Okay, the very first thing that I would say is you would need an agent. Most publishers will not accept unasked for manuscripts. They just won't. You know, if you've sent things into them, they're not going to read them. They don't have time. They're not geared up for it. Like, agents function as a sort of a funneling system for them. So there is a book called the Writers and Artists Yearbook. A new one is published every year. Your local library will have it. In it, they have all the agents currently operating in, I suppose, in Ireland and the UK. And they will tell you, unsolicited, thank you, you're so lovely. Down menopause head again. They will tell you whether they want your entire manuscript or whether they would like the first 3 chapters and a synopsis. And they will tell you the kind of writing that they represent. Like, it might be science fiction, it might be crime, you know, it might be fantasy, it might be young adult. And if there is an author that you like and you feel that your work is sort of similar to theirs, find out who their agent is. It's not hard. I mean, most people will thank their agent in the acknowledgements, and most agents will boast about their authors on their website. So if you don't buy it, somebody said they buy it every year and they still haven't finished their book. Don't buy it. Get it from the library. The Writers and Artists Yearbook. And is that applicable only to the UK, the Writers and Artists Yearbook? To my knowledge, yes. But I would imagine that there's something similar in other territories. I mean, I don't know how it is in the US, but I'd say so. I mean, if it's something as kind of as I've seen publishers say that they will accept direct submissions, smaller publishers. I'm going to come to smaller publishers very, very shortly. But yes, the Writers and Artists Yearbook, find an agent that you think, okay, they represent an agent, a writer who I admire, and they say that they will accept my stuff. So whatever they ask for, if it's the full novel, send in the full novel. I mean, and a lot of them now will just take email submissions, and like, agents are geared up. They have people to read all the things that come in. You know, whatever you send in, it will be read. And it depends again on the agent. You know, if they like it, of course they'll let you know. If they think it's not suitable for them, they probably won't. And that is excruciating. I mean, I do understand. My route to publishing was different. And I'll tell you, like, it was, how many years? It was 27 years ago. And like, I hadn't a notion. I had no idea. I think people are a lot more clued in now. So I sent my short stories, because that's what I had at the time, to a small Irish publisher. And I knew nothing about agents or anything like that. And they offered me a publishing deal. And there aren't many Irish agents. There aren't. Most British agents you don't pay for an agent, I'll tell you. You do not give money to anyone ever. Do you hear me? Nobody gives money to anyone who offers to represent you. Agents take a percentage of whatever advance they get from a publisher for you. But you are not, if anyone looks for money, no, bad news, something is wrong. Right, so I didn't have an agent. I walked in like clueless and delighted, like as you would be. And I signed a contract for 3 books, and they wanted world rights. I don't know what world rights meant, but it meant that they had the right to publish my book in any country around the world in any language. And I got 600 punts for my first advance. So I got 300 punts when I delivered the manuscript, and got 300 punts when it was published. So, I wasn't going out and buying the Aston Martin that particular day, if you get me. And subsequently, somebody told me that I would really need an agent. So she was a writer friend that I sort of knew. So she said I could try her agent. So I wrote to the agent, because this is back in the days when you wrote to people. And she turned me down. And she said she didn't represent writers like me. And I was like, oh, well, that's me in me box. And it was, I don't know, I still don't know why. I mean, was it because I was already published, or already had the deal, so she wouldn't be getting her 10% of the 600 punts? Or was it just that she just didn't like my, what was that great word? Forgettable froth, as the review of Rachel's Holiday described me. So I had no agent, but I had a publishing deal. But the small Irish publishing house could only really publish me in Ireland. And it got sort of tricky in that after a while, I came to the attention of a British publisher who is still my editor today, and somebody, an agent who is also my agent today. And they said, hello, we'd like to be your agent, and we'd like to publish you in the UK and elsewhere. And the small Irish publisher said, oh, no, we're not giving it. We're not giving her rights. And then, I had a very, very, really, there was a very uncomfortable summer when I had to do a lot of accepting. I really had to work hard, and I'd been given this opportunity that I couldn't avail of because my rights had been taken. And in the end, it all worked out. But just be very careful. I really think any author, please don't sign something until you have an agent. Agents understand publishing the way we don't. I know that people feel resentful at maybe having to give 10% or 15% to an agent. They think why should an agent get anything when you've done all the work? Honest to God, I am so grateful for my agent for so many reasons. I am no good at negotiation. I have no poker face. I would undercut myself in every single way. And an agent does all kinds of things. If you find out that your book is coming out the same week as the new Margaret Atwood, wouldn't you want your book to be moved? Because you wouldn't want your book to be it would be Margaret Atwood on all the shows and all the reviews and everything. But agents will do that, but they'll go to the publishers and they say, look at lads, can we move it? And because agents and publishers have a relationship that goes far beyond just you, agents have more power. They have more leverage than you, the single person, does. Agents understand the financials of publishing. They they won't just get a better advance for you, but they'll understand things like percentages on your cover price. What if the agent is not good at representing you, but you're not aware? Oh, I mean, the thing is, everything is a risk, everything is a risk. The only thing you can do really is try and do your homework and see if, see if you've heard any complaints. I mean, the thing is, I suppose there are lots of kind of Facebook groups that, that share their experience. And if they say, oh, blah de blah was an absolute nightmare, she promised me the earth and, none of it worked out, then don't go with that person. But, for the most part, agents do a far better job of representing authors than authors themselves do. Because I think most authors are a certain type, I'm generalizing wildly, but I don't think we're good at, well, I'm not any good at saying, excuse me, my book is fantastic, give me tons of money. It just doesn't work like that. Then more clout. Yes. No, the editor, the proofreader, hold on. So when you have an agent, your agent will decide, your agent will know many editors, and your agent will think, okay, I have a relationship with Mrs. de Blah from blah blah house, and I think this book is her sort of thing. And the person that the agent is dealing with is an editor. And this person, thank you, sweetie, himself has come with more questions. This person is the one who takes ownership of your book. They are the ones who will work with you on the editing. They are the ones who will work with you on the cover. They are the ones that within the publishing house will sell it to their sales team, if you get me. Like they will go into a meeting with the sales team and they say, listen out, lads, this one is coming in spring. It's fantastic. We need a much bigger print run than you've already, decided on, because I think it's really going to be great. They are your advocate, if that's the word, in the publishing house, because even within the publishing house, editors are, there's a kind of a pecking order. They're jostling, with their books. Every editor wants their book to do really well, and there are only so many resources available within the house. So your agent will put you with an editor who loves you, and then they will be your advocate. Is that the word? Within the house. The odd time, if the agent feels that the book is absolutely sensational, they will notify maybe 8 editors in 8 different publishing houses, and they will say, I am sending you this incredible book. It happened with Richard Osman recently, this amazing book, and I want your highest bids on the table by Tuesday noon. And they all, in the house, in the publishing house, they'll run around and they'll go to their boss, and their boss will go to their boss's boss, and they go, it's fabulous, it's fabulous, fabulous, I need tons of money. And the higher ups will read it and they go, oh Jesus, I don't know. Or they go, oh, quick, down behind the couch. How much money have we? Let's put it all together. That happens, but it's rare. So if it didn't happen to you, don't worry about it. Didn't happen to me either. It's rare, but most people, it's the other way. It's agent, and actually the other way. If the agent sends it to their first editor and the first editor passes, then the agent will try other people that they think would like it. So that is, and I suppose most UK publishers also publish in Ireland. So they will also, nearly always publish Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and sometimes Canada. They're the kind of the general rights that are sold as part of the package with the Great Britain rights. Now, foreign rights is a different thing. If your agent is part of a big agency, they will have a dedicated foreign rights arm, which means that they will have people who work, say exclusively with the German publishing industry, or the Spanish, or the say other countries, Italian, French, Russian, whatever. And often, like at things like, maybe you've heard of the Frankfurt Book Fair. The Frankfurt Book Fair is where like all the editors come from the UK with the books that they are bringing out in Britain and Ireland and Canada and them places, and say, this is fantastic, you're going to love this, translated into Spanish. They'll go to their Spanish friends, or, Italian, or to Russian or Mandarin or whatever. Maybe not Mandarin yet, but it's coming. And that's kind of how it works. So my starting point would be to get an agent, except if you decide to self-publish. Now, I'm afraid I know feck all about that, and I really, really apologise. Like, it was just, I'm so old, like, as I say, it was 27 years ago that I first got published. So, and I know that people have been very successful at self-publishing. But I did get a kind of a word of warning from somebody who said, please bear with me now, who said, okay, I was wondering, hello, it's Grace O'Reilly, if you would be mentioning self-publishing at all tomorrow. If you do, I hope you will stress that it is not a quick or easy way of avoiding the hunt for an agent publisher, because professional cover designers, editors, proofreaders and formatters do not come cheaply, and there's a real risk the resulting book will not earn back the money invested. Now, do you remember when I said earlier about don't give money to anyone? And definitely not somebody who is offering to be your agent. As I said, if the agent manages to get you money, they will take a percentage of it. And likewise, about vanity publishing, where like people will take plenty of your money to publish 50 little books that they're never going to put into shops. Self-publishing is different, and this is not my area, and I really apologise. But as you can see, there are pitfalls also to be careful of there. And in fact, if anybody knows, is there a website or something like that that we could direct people to who want to self-publish? Never give money to an agent or vanity publisher. No, don't. But obviously, if you are self-publishing, you might want to commission a lovely cover. Or, I don't know how hard it can be to format, but, so that, I'm terribly sorry for not knowing more about that, I'm afraid. Wattpad, okay, Wattpad, it's Wattpad. Oh yeah, and I know that Amazon has a publishing arm. I don't know, Readsy, okay, thank you so much for all of you who are putting these things up. Would I finish my book before looking for an agent? Answer to that already, depends on what the agent is looking for. Amazon is free. Okay, lulu.com, you are wonderful. Thank you all so much. Thank you. So any of you who need answers, there are lots of them coming here. Readsy seems to be coming up again and again. Does the writer have a say in the cover design? Not really. No. They'll show you 3 and they'll say, which one do you like? And you'll go, they're all awful. And they go, lovely, goodbye. Oh yeah, one other thing about advances, right? If you get an advance, say you get an advance of £1,000, we'll say. People think that's it. You get your £1,000 and then everything else is extra. Okay, so if say your royalty rate is, say you get paid £1 a book. So once 1,000 books have sold, you've earned out your advance. So when 1,001 sells, you get another £1. And then when 1,012 is sold, you get another 12. Do you get me? So the advance is an advance against royalties. And you don't get the advance as well as the royalties. You only get whatever royalties you earn over the advance. and Unbound. Oh yes, Unbound. They crowdfund books. Yeah, I've done some of them. Brian Bilson, and yeah, other lovely books. So I hope that helps. Now, what else did I say we'd be talking about tonight? Writer's block. We've done writer's block. We've done getting published. Okay, editing. Right then. Now, there's so many questions about editing, and the thing is, writing is nearly all editing. People think writing novels is sort of, it's all about mad creation, typing. No, food, don't, you're interrupting the flow. It's not. You're lucky, you will get bursts of the mad loveliness. Mostly, it's editing. Editing is 90% of my job. And people ask, okay, what happens if you don't sell enough books to cover your advance? They're unlikely to ask for it back. Can you use a foreign agent to get published? You can use it to get published in a foreign language, yeah. Okay, where was I? Hold on now. Editing, right. Some of you were asking, like, do you edit as you go? And I do. I mean, to the point where it was sort of ridiculous and I've stopped. I would edit every sentence as I went, and it made me so slow. So what I'm trying to do now is do like a really crappy first chapter, and then tidy it up. And people say, should you edit every day? Should you wait until you have 10 chapters? It's really up to you to edit whenever you want, but you've got to find a way that's comfortable for you. I need to edit very regularly, and I'll tell you why. Because it takes me a long time to get to the truth of what I'm trying to write. Right, say if you were trying to carve a gun. It's the first thing that came to mind, whatever it says about me. Say you're trying to carve a gun out of a piece of wood. Like your first attempts are going to be atrocious. Like it's just going to be like, lumps of stuff. But you'd keep at it, and you'd keep at it, and you would refine and refine and refine until eventually it looked more like a horrible thing that, does terrible things. I shouldn't have picked a gun. I really apologise for that. A doll, we'll say. Much nicer. But you know what I mean? Like your first attempts are going to be terrible. And so will your fifth attempt. And it's only when you work at it for a long time that it... So say I've got some sort of vibe going with two characters. And I'm trying to say something specific about these two people and their energy. And I've put words in their mouth and they sound cliched and dead and empty and embarrassing. And they reply with worse words. And it's only by taking stuff out and moving things around and trying it different and think, okay, no, they're not going to be ironic. They're going to be painfully sincere. And then I realise what's up with one person, what's up with the other person, and why they're not communicating. Do you get me? And that takes work, like going deeper and sometimes getting stuck. But that's editing. And that's worth it. Like when that click happens, it's just, oh my God, it is just like the loveliest thing. So if I haven't got that click, I can't move forward because I don't know who I'm dealing with and I don't know what they're dealing with. And the book I'm writing at the moment it's a mess, and I know it's a mess, and I'm stuck in that mess. But it'll get there. I mean, I'm having to go back a lot at the moment before I can go forward. So editing is immensely useful. Like editing isn't just kind of tidying up the rough bits around the edges. Editing is actually the substantive work. Obviously editing is about making sentences pretty, but it's about making the wrong bits right. Editing is about like changing timelines so that they make more sense. It's about taking out characters that aren't working. I'm going to pick up some of your specific questions on editing, but basically, I think an awful lot of people lose faith in their work because they think, oh my God, it's lumping and it's shit. Mine is lumping and shit. I'd say Maggie O'Farrell's, God forgive me, could sometimes be lumping and shit. You know, Kate Atkinson, again, God forgive me. But you know what I mean? Like, nothing good happens without work. And on the one hand, you'll hate me for that. But on the other hand, isn't it nice to know that if you put in the work, the lovely things will happen? Now, hold you on now. Oh, God. Sorry. Oh, God. Okay, how long does it take from you starting to it sitting on a shelf? At least 2.5 years. Okay, would you rewrite each chapter as you're doing it, or write the book fully first and then rewrite? That's entirely up to you, but as I said, I need to rewrite as I go because I'll be writing the wrong thing about the wrong people if I don't find out what I need to find out early on. Do I write in a particular environment? I write in the spare bedroom, but I've written on planes, in airports, in cars, you know, babysitting bunnies, you know, I've written everywhere, and I think most people should be kind of prepared to do that. Do you edit as you go or set stages to read back and check it? Again, it's up to you. And you know, people are very hung up on this. How do you edit and when should you edit? You should edit in the way that helps you feel most in control of your material. That's the only rule. It has kind of, so many of your questions, it's kind of killed me. It's broken my heart a bit. You all seem to think that there are rigid rules and that there's only one way to do it. There are a billion ways to do it, and your way is as valid as any other way. If your way is one that's comfortable for you and that you feel unafraid in, that you feel supported in, and that you can kind of that you're motivated to keep writing, that's enough. Your way is enough. My way would not work for other people because I waste so much time, but I feel safe in it. You know, it's your way is enough. It's good enough. Hold on now. How do you build up your ability to write about uncomfortable storylines, like stuff that might feel raw? Right, if it feels raw to me, I don't write about it. I can only write about something that I have distance on. You know, a lot of people have asked about, would it be okay to write about something real that happened to them? I mean, yes, if you want to, if it isn't going to upset you. And other people have asked, is writing therapeutic? I mean, obviously it is for lots of people, you know, but it mightn't be something that you're comfortable putting out in the world. You know, it could be private journaling that you do. And other people write novels that they find have helped them in their personal life. It's a personal thing. Again, there are no rules. The only thing with that is, I would say, mind yourself, like keep yourself safe. Like your well-being is more important than your storyline. Do I handwrite my books? No, I don't. I mean, somebody was asking about what voice recognition software do I use. I don't at the moment because I'm too adult to get it set up. Writing can be therapeutic even when you're writing about random stuff. Absolutely. Right. Do I take notes on people, places and things while I'm out and about? I don't because, Jesus, you know, how to lose friends and not influence people. I mean, would there be anything creepier than a person going around with the notebook? It'd be like the village snitch. Do you know? Look at her now. I see. New shoes, is it? No. I mean, we do what we have to do. But no, I mean, I wouldn't. The odd time if somebody says something fabulously funny, I would say, do you mind? That's just so great, I have to write it down. But most of the time, I think writers feel like outsiders. And that's, it's, you know, can be a painful way to live. But it is so feckin' handy for like observing. Don't look at them all over there being happy, just doing it like it comes natural to them, you know? Whereas writers are just one step removed, and you just see one sees things differently. You know, and I am always, another thing telling writers always, you know, have a little notebook in your handbag. I mean, I don't have a notebook in my handbag, and I suppose people don't. The village snitch, you get the classic Curtin Twitcher. Yeah, people can put it on their phones now. You know, you have your little notebook all the time, but I think most people are, you know, if you're that way inclined, you're gathering stuff anyway, you know, and the subconscious is massive. Like something like, I don't know, something like 0.01% of our thoughts happen in our conscious brain. There's so much going on in our subconscious, you know, once we find a way into it. That you don't own a handbag. Okay, well, would you have a pocket maybe, or a phone, or would you carry a biro behind your ear? Some way of collecting the thoughts should they happen upon you. Hold on now. What if you want to write a book but want to use a pseudonym instead of your own name? You can, of course. Somebody asked that last week as well. What do I think about writing partners and suggestions of what to do? I'm a complete control freak. I could not write with a writing partner, but I know loads of people who do. And I mean, I you know, I both envy them, and then I'd be sort of afraid. Like, what if I wasn't good enough, or, you know, what if I didn't want to do it on a particular day? Am I ever concerned about figurative language, that my metaphors are not good enough? I don't think I'm really a figurative language writer. I'm a bit of a vernacular, chatty, slangy, conversational. But I would imagine if you're doing figurative writing at all, that your metaphors would indeed be more than good enough. That's the feeling I get. Okay, somebody says, I'm writing a memoir and want to have dialogue that took place between doctors and I, but I don't remember conversations word for word. Is it okay to make up the same? I don't know. I'm sorry. I write novels, and memoirs are a different discipline. So I'm very sorry. I don't know the answer to that, and I don't really know where to direct you to find. The only thing I know is that memoirs are different from autobiographies, that memoirs are a kind of a looser interpretation of the facts, but don't take that as gospel, if that's okay. Flashbacks, right. Okay, there's some poor woman who keeps asking for flashbacks, right. Somebody said that they were told that readers don't like flashbacks. And it kills me when people have heard these rules that aren't rules, and that kind of that interfere with their work. I swear by a flashback. I love a flashback, because most of my books are about kind of emotional growth, or, you know, kind of, you know, emotional landscapes. And like, I love a flashback because, I mean, I really love when you're reading about a person in the now, and you're really interested and you like them and you want, but you know something happened, and then you flash back and you find out what the thing was. Now, I would say don't use italics, and I'll tell you why. It's kind of like, it doesn't feel like real. I'm not putting it well. It doesn't feel substantial enough a font. I mean, I've done flashbacks in different fonts, but I wouldn't, and I've used flashbacks as well, and I wish I hadn't. I mean, I've done italics as well, and I wish I hadn't. There's something less than 100% about them, I find, as a reader. Now, the only time that I feel that a flashback can be a kind of a jolt is, right, say you're reading about somebody and like you're so into it, you're enjoying it so much, next thing it stops, and then suddenly you're into entirely different people, entirely different situation. You have no idea who these are and how they relate to the other people. That can be a bit of a, you know, and I think in that case you have to start your new lot with, you've got to keep the person interested immediately, or there has to be some way of linking the two. Somebody's just said, how many flashbacks do you use? It depends on the book. There's no rules. And as many as you need. And the thing is, you don't need to know in advance. Like, the book I'm writing at the moment has flashbacks. And again, I'm at that stage where, like, how many? And how many can I just kind of fold in as a memory rather than a flashback? How many actual lumps of text can I make into one? And you know, nearer to the end of the book, you'll know, because so long as all the information that you want the reader to have, so long as it's all there, you can play around with it till the proportions are comfortable. Like, and you're not going to know straight away. You're not going to know anything straight away. Not really. I mean, you might have an idea of some things, but everything remains mutable until the end happens. Do you get me? Like, don't be afraid of making mistakes. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't be afraid of doing something in case it's wrong. So what if it's wrong? Nobody's going to judge you. It's just you and you when you're writing it. You know, like, I make so many mistakes. Like, I do things with confidence, although rarely. But I say, right, this is good. I'm putting this here. And then, you know, 4 months later, I go, Jesus, Mary and Joseph, out, get rid of it all together. You know, like, I'm going to swear, I'm sorry, but like, let yourself fuck up. It's all right. You know, the world won't end. You know, and a fuck up might actually be a revelation of some sort. And like, you've got to let yourself make mistakes, because you won't be free in what your imagination, you won't be free with your writing if you're too afraid, if there's some imaginary finger wagging and saying, no, you could make a show of yourself here. Nobody's going to know. So can you use a backstory instead of a flashback? Are they not the same thing? I would have thought. How different is the end result following your editor's work? Okay, right. How different is the end result following your editor's work? Mine isn't that different because I edit so much as I go. It's still hard, you know, like she takes my stuff and it's agony waiting, you know, to be given the thumbs up or the thumbs down. And then she will always come back and say, lose a character, or change this profoundly, or that isn't working. And it's awful. Like, it is awful. But like, ultimately, I trust her. She wants the book to be as good as it possibly can be. So do I. You know, we're going to have different points of view. Like, I'd say I would implement maybe 80% of what she suggests. And the rest we just never refer to again. Okay, what's the difference between a copy editor and a proofreader? Okay, there's so many different forms of editing. This is what I mean when I say, like, editing is the whole work. Right, you know, after your massive substantive edits, you know, with characterization, with timeline, with plot, with endings or whatever, right? Then copy editing is when literally you go through and, like, if the word back is repeated twice in 3 lines, you've got to change it for something else. Like, it's, you know, when you like mess up on tenses, for example, you know, but it's the fiddly, small, word by word, excruciating stuff. So that, I mean, that takes a long time, and it is, do you know what, actually, I don't mind it. Like, I kind of like, because I'm a Virgo, like, not that I believe in any of that, well, clearly I do a bit, but like, I like spending time when kind of there's nothing at stake, only will I put a semicolon here or will I do a full stop? It's kind of lovely when that's all you're worrying about. So that's your copy editing, when it's literally the copy you're working with. Then The proofreader, and the author will also proofread, is when you read the book through from start to finish, and there will all kinds of mad stuff will have crept in, like, suddenly like a lump of text from another person's, from like a physics textbook will have suddenly appeared in the pages of your novel, and you have to take it out, or like things will be misspelt, or like there'll be small things like punctuation will be missing, names would be spelt wrong, or like say at one stage you had a character called Foncha and now she's called Sinead, Foncha will still pop up. It's fascinating and kind of terrifying, but that's proofreading. And then after the proofreading, that's it. It's gone. And the next time you see it will be out there. And that's lovely too. Now somebody was asking, how important is social media in the selling of a book? I don't know really. I mean, we're all told to be on social media, but I waste far more time. I have a lovely time on social media. I would have written 12 more books if I had never found Twitter. They are so sorry they ever told me to go on Twitter. But now hold on. Any other business? Right. We were talking last week, about appropriation and about writing in other people's slang and accents. Apparently publishers employ sensitivity readers, but also say that you were writing about a Japanese man. You could give it to a Japanese man and say, is this offensive or is this okay? So they're sensitivity readers, if that's of interest. Okay, we've done flashbacks. Patenting a book title. You can't patent a book title. And in fact, there are many books, different books with the same title. It happens every 4 or 5 years, a book will appear with titles that have been used before. Patenting a book plot. Again, you can't. And again, it doesn't matter. People say, what if you start writing a book and then you find out somebody else is writing a book about exactly the same thing? It doesn't matter. They will be different because you and that other writer are different. I mean, that's happened to me so many times. And it's a zeitgeist sort of a thing. Suddenly one person decides, I know, I'm going to write about X, Y, and Z. And another person goes looking around at the world and goes, I know, I'm going to write about X, Y, and Z. Then you find out that you're both writing about the same thing and you're in the horrors. It's always different. I mean, that's the beauty of it. You don't have to be worried about things like that at all. Now, somebody asked, what would be a characteristic pace for your genre of choice? You decide. There is no characteristic pace, honest to God. I can't stress this enough. There are no formulae. There is no magic formula. You don't have to fit your book within any rigid parameters. Honest to God, write from your heart. Write with love. Write the book you want to read and do it wholeheartedly. That is the best thing that you can do for you and your writing. Is writing therapeutic? Okay, we've been through that. It can be if you want to. Oh yeah, people were asking, like, what about updating a story that's already been told? Like, people are always retelling the Jane Austen books. Work away. I don't think there's any problem with it. I think it's always fun to like Eligible by Curtis Sittenfeld. Like, I loved that. Basing your plot on real events. Again, we've talked about that. Okay, how do you stop plot twists being so obvious? Trial and error. When you're writing it, on your first go, it might be screamingly obvious. But like on your second or your seventh go round, you'll find a way of burying it. Like, it'd still be mentioned, but it'll be so small that like your reader will scan over it. They'll notice something subliminally, but they won't go, oh, I see, it's your man with the blah blah. Well, feck it, I needn't bother finishing the end of this, so. So I'm going to finish with some words of kind of overall advice. Okay, back to the thing I've said on the very first night. Pretend that no one other than you is going to read your book. Nobody else, not your mother, not your spouse, not your sister, nobody, just you. And because of that, be honest, like be really, really, really honest. You know, you can give your characters, you know, some of the things, the character traits that you personally might be ashamed of. And you can also give them like some of your lovelier bits that you might try and hide because you feel people might think you're a soft touch, you know, but be honest. Now, I've written, and please don't hate me, novels are not magical things. They don't already exist out in the universe, and they're not just waiting, you know, for like a channel into your head, down through, out through your fingers and onto your typewriter. Novels are hard work, but you can do it. I do it. I can do it. You know, we can all do it. Like, there are no barriers that we don't kind of get through like 4 hurdles and then suddenly get to the 5th mystic curtain and not have the magic word anymore. You know, we work our way through it. And if we can't get through the 5th mystic curtain immediately, we go back and see what we did wrong at the 4th or the 3rd or the 2nd. Do you get me? We can all do it. You know, nobody is holding out on us. The fear is unavoidable, I have written. Live with it. It's not going to go away. It never goes away. I'll tell you, I am afraid, you know. I have a small knot in my stomach because I have stuff to do tomorrow that I don't know how I'm going to do it. But it won't get done if I don't show up. So I have to show up. Write regularly. And then I have written edit, edit, edit. 3 exclamation marks. But edit when it suits you to edit. Edit in the way that's best for you. And mostly, can you have a lovely time? Will you please write the book that you would love to read? Have a beautiful time with it. Like, you have a talent and you have a desire to do something with that talent. So do it. You know, we get one life and there's no dress rehearsal. If you want to do it, and if you've started anything over these last few weeks, go with it. You know, go with it. Like, if it's something you want to do, you deserve to do it. Like, don't let your life be unlived aspirations. Like, do the lovely things for yourself and do them now. Thank you so much. It has been such a delight and a joy spending time. I am so grateful for all your questions and you know, you've taught me a lot about the craft of writing, and these, how do you call them, sessions will be up on the Instagram grid and on the YouTubes for as long as you want. And stay safe. Mind yourself in these dodgy times. Lots of love to you all. Thank you.